Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. And keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy.
All right, folks, here we are on Friday, February 23rd. We're going to take a look at WULF today. So somebody had messaged me, asked me to take a look at WULF, so happy to do so. If you all have any tickers you'd like me to look at, feel free to tweet it at me, exit at me, or just leave a comment below with the ticker symbol, please. And most likely, I'll take a look. So, yeah, it's it's it it felt like a lot of similarities to any the stock that we've covered before, Sphere 3D. But taking a look at it, there's a couple of things. I tried to pull in the strongest support and resistance levels that I felt were on the chart. Plus, there is this uptrend support that, if it were to bang into it again, either, it doesn't have to be in the super near future, doesn't have to like come racing down here and bang into it. Even if it, ran into it up here, something like that, that would make me feel sort of more confident in the bullish case of WULF, because with all of these levels that we have that are above the price action, if it's able to hold this uptrend support, then it's putting in a bunch of ascending triangles, which typically break to the upside. Not always, but often break to the upside. So, that would give me sort of more confidence in that. And it really just sort of established it through this series of candles here, and then it banged into it here and held sort of a near miss here. So I'm kind of interested to see what it does on the next go round. That'll be pretty telling. But in any case, the nearest in support level that I see is right here at 2033. I had put this in earlier today, so it just happens to be that it kind of settled on that into close. It's been through this range before, so this is sort of where I drew a bunch of levels from, and then even back here, mostly back here is where I drew, these upper levels from. So it's been through here before, so it's not just sort of, trying to decipher the most recent price action. To me, it's more impressive to scroll left and look at where things sort of habitually sold off and found support, or flipped from support to resistance or from resistance to support, and put those levels in. And now that the stock is sort of going through that same price range again, it's hitting a bunch of those same notes, if you will. So that's where the 2033 comes from. If it does drop further, again, we have that uptrend support, and then 140, I guess 1.405, whatever we call that. These fractions of pennies are a little nerve-wracking. But yeah, there's such a huge percentage change from these levels. I tried to pull in what I felt were the strongest, like the standout levels from previous price action. So there's going to inevitably be some levels in between these. So just be aware of that. Like there's probably a level here around say 181 or so. Probably a level here around like 165. But if I put all of those in, the chart would just be so cluttered. It would be really hard to look at. So just be aware. I felt that these were the strongest levels, but there will be some in the interim. Okay, so if it decides to push or bounce off of this 2033, 254, 281, and then all the way up at 384. So sort of moved quickly in this range previously. Obviously, it got stopped out here, right? So this is a likely target, the higher 317. So something around there might get a little challenging again, 317, 320, something like that. But it's not put in a ton of consistent price action through here, other than the 281 and the 384.4. So huge percentage change in between those. I'll grant that for sure. But if it starts to work in that range and put in some additional price action, then that'll clarify some of the price points or the ranges that we could look for in that space. Now, on the think or swim side of things, previously we had this lengthy trigger, and it was doing exactly the thing that you want it to do, triggering while the price is pinning itself to the mid-range of the channel, slightly up, slightly down, slightly up, but mostly just centered around the mid-range of the channel. And then it fired, and boy, did it have a good call out. Like, this is a great call out by the TTM squeeze indicator. 113 all the way up to, well into the low threes. So huge percentage change there. And that, so good call out there. And then it happened to come back into the channel and go all the way to the lower bound. Now, recent price action, it's pushed up out of the upper bound of the channel, but it's come back down to the mid range. And the histogram right now is showing bullish momentum dying down. So we'll see if that continues to die down and how far that drags the price down, or if it's able to, again, kind of pin itself to the mid range and once again start to trigger. That, to me, would be the most interesting thing that could happen. The interesting thing here is it does have, like, you see this trigger here and then this fire, right? And that set off a big move. And then it sort of settled again to the mid-range, and it started to trigger and fire, and that set off probably the best move, right? From about mid-ones up over 4. And then it had, a huge retracement, and started to trigger again and fired again. So all the trigger and fires in the last year or so have been seemingly to the upside, though then they tend to retrace. But that initial firing to the upside, just so that nobody has a misconception about this, trigger and fire doesn't mean that it's gonna burst to the upside. First of all, sometimes trigger and fire happens and nothing happens with other stocks. But even if there is a big move, the idea here is just that there's a big move coming, and so that big move can be to the upside or to the downside. So I just want to point that out, because here we're getting sort of very rose-colored glasses kind of view of trigger and fire. But I mean, it's been really consistent in terms of it has produced big moves every single time. There hasn't been a misfire yet, in this yearly chart. So I, for one, would be most interested to see if it's able to pin itself to the mid-range of the channel now that it's back there again. Pin itself there. Who cares what it does with the histogram? Pin itself there, start to trigger, right? Start to trigger, and then when it starts to fire, see what direction it's going in and sort of play that direction. So we'll see if that happens or not. And if folks are interested, obviously leave me a comment and let me know. I'd be happy to come and check in on this one. It's new to me. I wasn't really aware of it at all until somebody asked for me to take a look. But we'll see how it holds up. All right, folks, I hope that you had a nice trading week and that you enjoy your weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.